Hello everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon or good morning, depending where you are. Welcome to this exciting live lesson. Another live lesson today, all about IELTS writing. That's right. All of the ideas, the language, the structures that you need to make IELTS writing like a dream. Well, almost. Let's begin with a little bit of this. Hello and good afternoon. Nice to see you. It does feel a little strange doing a live lesson on a Monday. Quite unusual for me, but always nice to be here with all of you students from around the world. Welcome. Very excited today because this is the second workshop that we're doing on IELTS writing. It's a very special one. I'm here again with a very special guest who many of you know, and I'll be introducing in just a couple of seconds. But to give you a clue, we're going to be looking or showing you how to write a high-scoring essay for your IELTS writing. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Keith. I run the website Keith Speaking Academy. And the YouTube channel where some of you may be, English Speaking Success. By the way, if you're on YouTube, do remember, press the subscribe button and turn on notifications to find out about new and upcoming lessons and videos coming your way. Excellent. Now, Keith Speaking Academy, well, the website is full of lots of ideas, resources for IELTS. My focus is mainly IELTS speaking. I know today we're doing IELTS writing, but that's because I'm collaborating with a friend today, Eli, and we're going to be giving you another lesson on IELTS writing. But if you do want to check out the website, my website is Keith Speaking Academy. There's information there about the IELTS test. You can click up the top there to find out about the format, evaluation, different topics, and also you can find out the free live lessons. And it's loading very slowly. Of course it is. Because it's the time of day, I think. Free live lessons, you can find out recent lessons we've done. So, for example, if you missed us last week, you can watch the first lesson that we did about IELTS writing tips. And you can click here to get the PDF. When you click there, you'll be sent to a page just to put in your email address, and then you can get the PDF right away. There you are. And there's Eli himself. Excellent. So as I say, we are kind of collaborating on IELTS writing at the moment. Let me bring me back. Okay. We're doing some different projects together, and we're going to be telling you about those today. So maybe it's a good time actually now to introduce you. Let me get rid of this and introduce you all to Eli. Eli Howes. Here we go. Hello, Eli.
Hello, Keith. Thanks for having me again.
Not at all. It's always a pleasure. Great to see you here. How are things with you?
Yeah, things are going very well. I'm excited about today's live class. It's been really exciting doing this 3-session live class together. And it's been great fun hearing from everyone that benefited from our last live lesson, right, and the people who have downloaded the PDF and who have found that they're improving their IELTS writing. So great fun talking to you and talking to your audience, and also very rewarding hearing how it's already helping many of your students out there.
Indeed. Fantastic. That's great. And as you mentioned, 3 sessions we're doing. Today is the second of 3 sessions. We will do another session on Wednesday, and it'll be very much a kind of question and answer session about IELTS writing, but also about the IELTS writing course. And this is Eli's course. He's made an online course for IELTS writing. We're going to give it to you, not give it to you, sell it to you, let's be clear, through the Keith Speaking Academy. So it's going to be on my website, but the course is done by Eli. Eli, would you like to tell us a little bit about that course?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to be putting this course on the Keith Speaking Academy and also onto your course platform. It's run on Teachable, and that's a great platform for convenience for students. The videos load really quickly. It's very easy to add PDF, so supplementary material for all of the lessons. And then all of the lessons are also going to have a quiz to test your understanding of the contents of each lesson. And I'm very excited about this course because I really think it's an extremely comprehensive course to help people out there with IELTS writing. So what we do in the course is go through task 2 first, so that's the IELTS essay, and we go through literally everything I can think of, at least, that you might need to know before your IELTS writing test. So we look at things like generating ideas, the different essay questions, the structures, and then we also do some guided practice together. And then after task 2, we also move on to task 1. Now, most of you will know that general task 1 and academic task 1 are different, but they are both included in this course. So what we do is we look at academic task 1 first, but if you're doing the general IELTS, then you just skip that section and you move straight on to general task 1, which is the letter writing. And again, same format, comprehensive video, downloadable resources, and then quizzes to test your understanding. So I'm really excited about launching that course on your platform on Wednesday, Keith. Oh yeah, so you can see it, a little sneak preview here. Oops, I always get the wrong side. As you can see from the quantity of lessons there, it's extremely comprehensive, and I really think it's going to help a lot of you score that elusive band 7, band 8, and it's actually already helped somebody get band 8.5 in the IELTS writing test, which is incredible and well beyond my expectations even to begin with.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Great. Well, listen, that's great to let people know about that. We are actually going to launch the course on Wednesday this week. So on Wednesday, we'll do another live session at 3 o'clock with a question and answer. We'll tell you more about the course, and then you'll be able to access it and buy it on Wednesday. But today, we have IELTS writing. We're going to do a workshop with everybody today to help you, show you how to write a high scoring essay. Maybe I can just begin and actually just talk you through what we're going to do today. Actually, what I'm going to do is say hello first, because I've noticed lots of people have joined us. Hello to Tarek Yub, nice to see you as well. Pradip, nice to see you. Christine from Hearts in Germany, hello there. Amajit Kao, good evening. Nice to see you here. Tuan Dat from Vietnam, lovely to see you. Hanny Time, wow, she says. Great. Abhilash, nice to see you. How to write a book is a good question. We're going to just focus on how to write IELTS, IELTS writing essays. We'll maybe do a book next year in the future. But great to see lots of you here. We've got, who else? We've got Laura from South Korea. We've got Study with Jobi. Soji maybe, from Uzbekistan, I think it is. Great. Sitheni also from SA, lovely. We've got is that Kong? I'm not sure if it's Kong, from China. Nice to see you here as well. Lovely. And M. Fatih Kure from Turkey. People from all around the world. It is fantastic to see you all here. So what are we going to do today? Obviously, IELTS writing, but let me just go through and tell you a little bit about what this will look like today. So yes, we're looking at IELTS writing, and we're going to start with 5 steps to effective writing. Basically, we will go through step by step the 5 things you need to do to become an effective writer for IELTS, right? That will include things like looking at keywords and understanding them, looking at the structure of your essays and how, well, there are many different structures. We'll focus on one today, but we'll show you how to take that into account. We'll be looking at ideas, always the big thing, right? How do you generate ideas? Always a big, big question. Also, checking your writing. Such an important part. So many people make mistakes because they don't check their writing at the end. We'll show you a nice little cheat list, if you like, to show you, make sure you're checking stuff. We're going to look at, well, we're going to play a couple of games today. We also like to have a bit of fun, of course, so we'll be playing a couple of games with you in English for today. And then finally, we'll tell you a bit more about the new IELTS writing course. It's by Eli, being hosted on the Key Speaking Academy. All of that we will tell you more and more as we go up today. IELTS writing, fantastic. Good, okay. I've got to share this because I love the hearts from Bangladesh. Thank you so much. It is lovely to see those. Okay, now then, let us begin. Let me bring back in Eli one moment. So to begin today, I'm going to ask Eli to begin, but he's going to show you first this. Ta-dam. A challenge. What's the challenge today?
So yeah, that's right. We're going to start with a bit of a challenge here to introduce today's theme. So as you can see above, it says computer games. So today's theme is going to be computer games. And we thought we would start with this tricky little challenge. What we're going to do is show you an image. So you'll have this image, you'll see it, but only for 10 seconds. And your challenge and your task is to try and memorize as much about this image as you possibly can. So what you can see, where you can see it, what's happening, who's doing what. Try and memorize and remember as much about this image as you possibly can in 10 seconds. So Keith, when you're ready, feel free to show the image.
Wow, 10 seconds. Okay, guys, here we go. 10 seconds. Pay attention. Right. Now, what's the question?
Great. So what we would like you to do is to write down what you can remember you saw in that image. So what objects did you see? What did you see people doing? How many people were there? We want you to write down in the comment section as much about this image as you can possibly remember. So you can do that in the comment section below, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube.
Brilliant. So guys, write down everything you saw in that picture, and we'll just take 10 seconds with a bit of Caribbean music for you to do that. Lots of actions. Ooh. Nice. Okay. Cool. Great. So we've got lots of things. Mainly people. We've got
some
people
very
saying
nice language there, I saw.
yeah.
So it was immersive video games.
Did
So I
somebody
love
say
that
immersive video game?
immersive video games.
Whoops. I'm going to make a note of some of these.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. Here we go from Bella. If it's not letting me transfer the comments. Let me try again. 3 kids are having. Oh, I can see what you're trying to say there. 3 kids are maybe not having, but maybe using. And it's
That's right. Yeah.
and I think in your haste and speed, you've just misspelt gadgets. But gadgets is a nice word as well. A gadget. What would you? How would you describe a gadget? What is a gadget, Eli?
Yeah. Usually we use gadgets to describe small electronic items that have a purpose.
Right.
So sometimes, for example, you'd have gadgets in your kitchen, maybe for cooking. In this case, we're talking about, gadgets for entertainment. I don't necessarily know whether we would describe what they were using as gadgets, though.
Hmm.
Almost gadgets, but if we think about what
Possibly.
they had in their hand,
Hmm.
it wasn't necessarily a gadget. We would probably describe that as a controller.
Right. Controller. Fantastic. I'm going to just switch. I'm going to put us over here. Okay. So we got immersive video games, a gadget. Let me just change the format here. Just make it a bit clearer.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see anything else that came up. Okay, we've got this one. The boy sitting sofa. Sitting on the sofa. I'm going to add a nice little preposition there to help you. BCN San. The boy sitting on the sofa listening to music. Nice. So sofa we got. Let's see what else we've got. Me too. I can imagine a mess environment with total disaster. Yeah, 3 kids on video games, probably. Yes. Raphael says, do you want to read that one, Eli?
Yeah. So 3 kids playing video games. So that's spot on. One of them playing with a console video game. So we could probably just change that. One of them is playing with a video game console. So slight word order, but excellent. And talking on his cell phone. We'll have to see the photo again. I can't remember if he had a cell phone. Maybe he did. Oh, was it a cell phone or was it something slightly different where you have something over your ear and then another part over your mouth? We sometimes call that not a cell phone, but a headset. So
Yeah,
you
it
can
was
have
definitely a
a
headset.
gaming headset. Yeah. So one on his headset, the second one sitting on the couch. So yeah, couch is a synonym for sofa, which is a great word to have there. Playing on his laptop. Excellent. Someone commented he's using a MacBook. So the MacBook is a type of Apple laptop. And the third one, and then we're just missing the verb. The third one is so excited. So you can
Nice.
see from the image there, he's so excited.
Fantastic.
And I wonder
Brilliant.
why he's so excited.
I wonder, maybe he's about to win the game.
Yes. Maybe we could have a look again at the photo itself.
We can. I've just got one final one was interesting. Children tend to be addicted to playing games. I like that. Addicted to. What does that mean?
It means that it's very hard for you not to play games. So, for example, if you're addicted to work, it means you spend a lot of time working and you put a lot of effort and thought into your work. So, similarly, if you're addicted to playing games, you find it difficult not to be playing those games, and you tend to spend a lot of time and a lot of mental energy thinking about playing games. Now, I also love, is it shiggy? So I love shiggy's use of tend to in this sentence as well. If you've been following my YouTube channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of hedging in IELTS writing and also in IELTS speaking, which is when we take a sentence and we make it less generalized by adding certain words. And tend to is a brilliant word or brilliant phrase for when we want to hedge. So instead of saying children are addicted to playing games, we say children tend to be addicted to playing games. And this subtle difference is the kind of thing that can really show the examiner more sophistication in certainly your writing, but also your speaking as well. So great to see that 10-2.
Great.
It's
I've
also
just
something that we touch on in today's lesson as well, a little bit later.
Fantastic. Great. So an example of hedging there, tend to here meaning, well, kind of sometimes or but not always. It's kind of that's why it's hedging.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Great. So listen, we've got there lots of interesting comments all about what they were doing in the picture. I'll just put the picture back up because we can see the laptop, the headset, the controller, some strange faces, sofa, couch, definitely. You're always in danger of becoming a couch potato if you play video games all day, right? Couch potato.
Certainly,
Love it.
certainly if you're addicted, it's very easy to become a couch potato.
Absolutely,
Keith,
yes.
have you ever been addicted or been very into playing computer games?
It's a very good question, Eli. I remember when I was about 25 or 26, a friend of mine bought a video game, and it was one of those first-person shooter, right? Basically,
Mhm.
and it was emulating the James Bond film, and you were the shooter trying to kill other people. And seriously, we went round his house almost every weekend for about a month and would play 12 hours a day. I mean, a group of us.
Yeah.
And yes, it was addictive. And one of the reasons I never bought one myself, because I was afraid how addictive it can be. So I was quite happy to play somebody else's, but I think you have to control it, right?
Mm. I was in exactly the same boat. That's a nice expression, to be in the same boat,
Yeah.
which means to be in the same situation. So when I was around 18 years old, a friend of mine who had quite a few computers in his home had a game called Age of Empires, which was a strategy game.
I
And we
remember.
would all sit in different rooms or facing away from each other and playing Age of Empires, which was creating these armies and moving into each other's territory. So it was a strategy game, but completely addictive. And luckily, I didn't have a games console or any computer to play games in my own home. Otherwise, I know I would have certainly become a couch potato and spent too much time at home also playing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I mean, what you mentioned there was the same for me. That actually, the positive side was that it was a group activity, right? We were all there. We were communicating. We were sharing ideas, even stupid ideas like shoot the man on the left, not the right. But there was a lot of kind of interesting, not only communication but bonding as well.
Mm. Yeah, I guess you have a shared experience, don't you? So afterwards, there's a
Yeah,
lot of laughing and talking about what happened in the game.
yeah,
And funnily enough, people often don't think about that when they're talking about computer games. They often think of playing games as quite lonely or solitary. But
exactly,
nowadays, especially with your headset on, playing games can be a very collaborative activity. It's
exactly.
something that I know a lot of parents worry about for their children. And I know, Keith, you're a father. Do you have a particular policy when it comes to games and games consoles in your home?
Games absolutely prohibited in my house. No fun allowed in my house. No, that's not true. Obviously, I'm joking. Um, we don't have any consoles, so we haven't bought any console games. My daughter does download apps on. We have a shared tablet in the house, so we have it's an Apple and iPad, and we share that, the three of us, and so there are some games we play on there. But again, I kind of enjoy it because we sometimes play together and try to outdo each other, do better than the other person. Um, I don't have any restrictions on time. I kind of give my daughter the responsibility to do that. So if I see she's spending a lot of time on the computer or on the tablet, I will just say, how long have you been on there? And I'll say, do you think that's long enough or too long? Good. So what you're going to do next? That's right. Put it down. So I encourage her to be responsible for her own time. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea, and as a result, I'm sure she's going to grow up as well with having ownership and responsibility over how she spends her time and the activities that she spends her time doing.
I think it's a skill, an
And
important skill to learn. Yes.
yeah, and talking of skills, there's actually you know, Keith, you and I were talking about a lot of potential skill benefits of actually playing computer games,
Yes. Yes.
and that's very relevant because it's such an important vocabulary topic also for the IELTS exam, which is talking about skills and learning.
Absolutely. I think whether it's IELTS speaking or IELTS writing, the topic of skills, what's often called 21st century skills, kind of the soft skills, are hugely important. Um, let's have a look. Excuse me, I'm burping. Let's have a look at some skills because I think that's useful vocabulary. Just to go back, just going back a moment. I know this is strange. It's your face and my voice, but don't worry. to to be in the same boat was a nice expression that Eli used. To be in the same situation. Addictive, we used as the adjective. Something can be addictive, and we talked about bonding with others. You can bond with others or have a shared experience. I think that's a great, nice collocation. A shared experience. And the last one, to outdo each other, is to try and be better than someone else. So when you're playing games, then you try and outdo each other. When it comes to skills, I mean, one that occurs to me is what? Communication skills? What
Yeah, I
else?
really liked when you said soft skills as well. You might need to explain that in a little bit more detail.
Right. Soft skills. Soft skills as opposed to, let's say, hard skills. So, soft skills for me are the skills that they're much more about not intrapersonal. So, hard skills are things like learning how to drive, learning how to code, um, being able to build a table from wood. It's basically very specific skills that you need, and you learn those skills often through following somebody else, following a model. The soft skills are more, they're not so tangible. You can't really touch them. So we're talking about problem solving, um, communication. What else have we got, Eli? Help me out.
Maybe things like leadership skills or
Leadership.
working in a team as well.
Teamworking is another very, very popular one. And these are all skills actually in the modern workplace which are hugely important. Some people say it's more important you can lead than you know how to code, for example. That those soft skills are more important. So I'm going to put some of these up as well. And Eli, let's see if there's any more we should put in. So I've got soft skills, communication, team working, problem solving. Anything else we could add?
Maybe something about reaction. So to have fast reactions or reaction speed.
Reaction
Certainly
speed.
in the context of computer games, that's very useful.
Absolutely, yes. Brilliant. We've got Kim has given us interpersonal skills, yeah, which is, dealing with people, right?
Mm.
Let me just write these into, there's intra and inter, but let's do interpersonal skills. Yeah, Julia mentioned management skills. We actually said leadership, didn't we? But leadership and management. I'm kind of veering away from video games, but Mashed talks about responsibility, maybe. Fei Dong makes an interesting observation. IQ and EQ, emotional. Yeah, kind of emotional intelligence is a very much a buzzword, right, these days.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, a great distinction to make. So I guess IQ is relating to your ability to problem solve, and EQ is related to your emotional intelligence. So your ability to empathize, understand how people are feeling, and also the way that you see yourself through other people's shoes.
Yeah, nice. See yourself through other people's shoes. Put yourself in other people's shoes?
Yeah, sorry, put yourself in other
Yes.
people's shoes and see yourself through other people's eyes. Yeah.
Yes. In other people's. Whoops. Come on. Put yourself in other people's shoes, which means basically to empathize and understand
Yeah.
them. Well, at least try to understand them. Great. Feidong, I'm going to take you off. Okay, great. So, wow, lots of vocabularies coming up. Pardim talks about this one, cognitive skills, which are also very important, right? I think especially for computer games. What exactly are cognitive skills, Eli?
Well, so cognitive relates to cognition, so the way that your brain works. So if you have cognitive skills, it's skills relating to your brain and your brain power. So, for example, the ability to understand a map, that would be a cognitive skill.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. Yep, good. And finally, we've got from Deepeak, we've got video games can hone up strategic thinking skills.
Mm. And I love that hone a skill as well. It's a great collocation. Thank you, Topeka.
Yeah. To hone a skill means to kind of polish and make better, right?
That's it.
I'm going to add, as we're talking about thinking, critical thinking, I'll just add that in as well. It's another 21st century
Great.
skill.
Critical thinking skills is something that we touched on in the last lesson together when you are showing an awareness of different ideas related to the essay topic. And it's something that's also tested in part 3 of the speaking. So it's the way that you engage critically with information, maybe from different perspectives, for example.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great. Very briefly, I'm just going to share a few more that people said, but we won't comment on them. But these are absolutely all great skills: negotiating, decision making, assertion, great, anger management, absolutely. Yeah, great. Just a few that came up. Very, very nice. So we've been looking at, we've been looking at the kind of the topic of games, right? And video games. And we're talking about IELTS writing, just to bring all of this together. We're going to move forward and have a look at, if I just bring this in. So just to make this clear where we are, bear with me. Great. So I'm here with Eli, and today we are looking at how to write a high scoring essay. We're focused on IELTS writing. We're looking at the topic of computer games, and we're going to look at a title, an essay title about computer games and children, and we're going to show you how to write a high scoring essay. Right. Is that right, Eli?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Specifically, what we're going to be doing is looking at 5 steps of effective essay writing. So we're going to go through all of these steps individually, and we're on the theme of computer games. So we're going to move now on to step 1, and step 1 is to underline the keywords and identify the question type. So this is really the first thing that you're going to do when you're writing your essay in the exam, or when you're just preparing for the essay for the IELTS writing test at home. So if we're underlining the keywords and identifying the question type, let's take a question like this one. Parents should not allow young children to play computer games. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So let's take the first bit. Let's take parents should not allow young children to play computer games. And if you could comment below, what do you think are the keywords in this question? So the words that help you to understand what topic it is that you're writing about. Okay, so take a second and you can comment below on Facebook or on YouTube. What are the keywords in this particular question? Yes. So from Pradeep, he says computer games. Certainly, computer games is one of the key phrases that we're identifying in this question. And the reason why computer games are important in this particular question is that if we start talking about, say, mobile phone games and not computer games, or we focus on board games and not computer games, what's going to happen is we're going to get a much lower score for task achievement. So a much lower score for our IELTS writing. So a good idea is to
I'm going to jump in there. What do you mean by a much lower score?
Right. So many people will know that examiners will have band descriptors that they're assessing your writing on. And then basically there's 4 criteria, or 4 categories that they're looking at when they're assessing your writing. So one of them is task achievement or task response. And you can see from the public band descriptors that at each band, there's certain criteria for what you need to do to get that band. Now, if you misunderstand the question for task achievement, you're going to get a much lower band score. So for example, if you're misinterpreting the question, so for example, you're talking about board games when you should be talking about computer games, or maybe you're talking about, instead of young children, you're talking only about teenagers or young adults, you're misinterpreting the question. And as a result, it's going to be very hard for you to get even band 6 in your writing.
Wow.
It's likely that you're going to get band 5 or lower for task achievement.
You're going to get a band
so even
5.
Though yes, yeah, it's very important that you spend time understanding the question. What I see happening quite regularly is people that skim read the question and they come up with their own interpretation of what the question means because they see the word, for example, computer games.
Yeah.
And then they start to imagine what the question is about the computer games. And they're not focusing on other details like parents should allow young children to play computer games.
Right.
So even though this might seem like quite a simple task, it's actually extremely important because what we're going to be doing when we write our essay is showing the examiner that we clearly understand the question and we're able to come up with relevant ideas and examples for that question.
That is so interesting. So it's so important, really important, but very, very simple to just underline the key words, right? Because that will tell you clearly what the examiner is looking for. I was just going to add, I don't know if you would agree or not, but I have, in past years when I was teaching writing, I noticed sometimes students are finding recent essay titles on the internet, on Facebook, that people are telling them, this is the latest essay. It may not be. And so they see certain questions like computer games. And when they see this, they think, oh, it must be the same question. Great, I know my answer. But they haven't read the question properly.
Yes, that's especially problematic if they've taken the time to try and memorize that kind of essay. And so they see that as an opportunity to regurgitate that essay. And then, in fact, unfortunately, they're going to be getting a much lower score because it's a different essay question. It might be on the same theme, but the essay question itself is different. And so
Yeah,
they're misinterpreting the question.
absolutely. I love that word you said, regurgitate. To regurgitate. To
Yeah, I
repeat.
think you'll have, yeah, regurgitate. And I think sometimes people talk about regurgitating food, which
Yeah,
means, I think, to
vomit.
bring up food from the depths of your stomach. So if you regurgitate something, it's like you're
Mm,
bringing it from the back of your mind or some other part
brilliant.
of your memory.
So guys, don't regurgitate whatever you do. So let's come back to the question. We've got computer games. I'll share with you some other things people have put up here. Kieran said young children.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming that's another one, right? We should underline as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Let's do that.
And again, because we don't want to be focusing on teenagers or young adults, it's fine to mention them. But if we're not focusing on young children, we are misinterpreting the question.
Right. And Huang Chuan.
Yes, certainly. So
Parents.
we've got computer games, certainly parents as well,
Yeah.
because we're not saying what should schools do or what should the government do. We're talking about what parents should do. So we should definitely be paying attention to a parental perspective on this question.
Very, very interesting. I actually love that technique that you use in your head when you say parents should. So it's not government, it's not blah, 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 it's not
Mm.
adults, it's not children, it's parents. That kind of it's not really reinforces it. I love that technique. Nice.
Yeah, and I think this is a relatively straightforward IELTS question for this video, but I would certainly recommend to your audience that they go through the Cambridge past papers books and practice test books and actually get into the habit of underlining the keywords from those books and really thinking about what those questions are asking them to do, because certainly some of them are rather complex.
Nice. Excellent. Shall we move? Are there any other keywords you would say here, or is that it?
Well, I think it's also important to pay attention to what kind of question this is.
Right.
So in this case, we have to what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is an disagree question, and it's the most common type of question that you're going to get in the task 2 writing test. Some other examples include advantage, disadvantage questions, discussion questions, double questions, direct questions. But the most common question type are these agree, disagree essays. So as a result, I think it's very important that you have a strategy for how to write an agree or disagree essay. And that leads us very nicely on to step 2. So Keith, maybe we can move on to step 2.
We may.
And step 2 is all about identifying which structure you are going to use. Now, this is important because if you know which structure you're going to use, you're going to know how many ideas you have to talk about in your essay. And by having practiced a lot of these structures and knowing which structure works well for you, you're going to be able to present a high-level essay in a much shorter period of time, and you're going to avoid a lot of redundancies and irrelevant information. So for this particular structure, this particular essay, I would be recommending either a simple structure or what we're going to look at today, which is a 70-30 structure. So the 70-30 structure is a structure you can use with a lot of different essay questions, and it's where you 70% agree with one side and you 30% agree with the other side. So, for example, in this particular question, we have whether parents should allow their children to play video games. So you could say, yes, 70%, I think they should. However, 30%, so the side that you don't fully agree with, you could say, however, there are also reasons why I think they should not allow their children to play video games. And this structure allows you to engage with your critical thinking skills and show arguments and ideas for both sides. Now, I call it the 70-30 structure because you're agreeing primarily with one side, but you're acknowledging the other side. And so as a result, it's a good idea to have two ideas that for one side. So for example, if I agree that parents should allow their young children to play video games, then I would have two ideas for why I think they should let um, young people play video games. And then I would have one idea why they should not let young children play video games. And that's the structure, well, that's how many ideas I need in my essay. So by understanding which structure we're going to use, when it comes to brainstorming our ideas, we already know how many ideas we need to think of.
That's cool. That's great. Very, very clear. 70-30, total of 3 ideas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's what we're going to use in today's lesson. And actually, in the course that I'll be putting on your platform on Wednesday, we look at lots of different essay structures that we can use in IELTS in the IELTS writing test. And we look at when one is useful and when another is useful, and then which essay structures are applicable to different question types. So for example, if you have an agree, disagree question, or a discussion question, or a double question. And so we can look at all of those different essay structures. But for today's lesson, we'll focus on the 70-30 structure. And one of the reasons for that is I think it's very useful for agree, disagree essays, but also advantage, disadvantage essays as well.
Fantastic. So you're saying in your course, you actually present different structures students can use and show them which kind of question might be, or which kind of structure might be suitable for different questions. Yeah.
That's right. And also I provide model essays so that when you're going through the course, you can also see that structure in practice. So you can say, okay, here's examples of 70-30 structures. Here's an example of a simple structure.
Okay.
And it makes it a lot more real for people going through it. So
I've
that moves us on to step 3.
It does. Can I ask a very quick question?
Yes.
Okay, it's not me, it's Tahira who wants to ask, but I think it's an interesting question. For this example, is it limited to 2 ideas for agreeing, or could we use more than 2 ideas? Is it a good idea?
Well, you're certainly not limited to just having 2 ideas for agreeing. However, one thing that you need to pay attention to in your IELTS writing is to make sure that all of those ideas are developed. So you don't really want to mention a third idea unless you have the time and the space to develop that idea as well.
Yeah.
So as a result, writing more ideas is not necessarily better. It's better to have fewer ideas that are fully developed. And by fully developed, I mean they have examples or they have some sort of detail emphasizing that particular idea.
Okay, fantastic. Great answer. Let's move on. You mentioned, we talked about the 70-30 structure, 3 ideas, and then we're coming on to generating ideas.
Yeah, this is what we looked at in the last lesson that we did together, Keith. And I introduced the multiple perspective approach, which is where you take your question and then you think, well, who are the groups affected by this? And also, what kind of perspective can we bring to this question? So maybe either we could do this together, Keith, or we could ask the audience, which kind of perspective should we consider when it comes to this question? Who are the groups affected?
Let's do both. I mean, maybe we can do it just for the time issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So multiple.
Yes. Okay. So from this question, which kind of groups do you think we should be considering with this particular question about whether parents should allow young children to play video games?
Well, first off, I guess from people, parents, and young children,
Yes.
I would say. What would you say?
Hmm. Yeah, and I would also like to mention the different perspectives. So there's a health perspective here. We mentioned if you're addicted to video games, you might become a bit of a couch potato and spend too much time sitting on the couch, isolated, alone, playing video games when you could be outdoors playing with your friends. So that's something that's very important for young children.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a developmental perspective as well. So, for example, at the beginning of the lesson, we talked about all the different skills, and we said that actually playing computer games can develop certain skills. So I think there's a developmental perspective here.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Health
Mhm.
perspective and
Maybe
developmental.
so with those four perspectives, maybe we could get some ideas from the audience about what we could write for this particular question.
Yeah, good, good. Let's have a look. All games teach.
Mm-hmm.
Mumtaz mentions the social aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. With the social aspect, both the positive and the negative, because we talked about how it can be quite social to play computer games and quite bonding, but at the same time, it's often quite a lonely activity, and so you lose the social aspect when you're playing games.
Yeah. Good. We've got poor eyesight.
Yeah. And so that would be a great idea under the health perspective, for example, and that's something that parents would worry about for their children.
Yep. Academic score affected.
Would you agree with that one, Keith?
As an idea, yes, absolutely. As an idea, yes, because I think the academic score can be affected if students are spending too much time on the computer games. Yes. Excuse me. So, where development perspective, maybe social aspect, maybe to do with their grades at school.
Yes.
Academic scores affected. So Ranji says, forget other important things. Yep. That's kind of around the social aspect, I suppose. Exhaust. I think you mean exhaustion, I would probably say here, no, as a noun.
Yeah.
Exhaustion. Meaning, yeah, students
Especially
will be too tired.
when young children play late into the night.
Yes, exactly. Yes. There's also this argument or this idea, violent behavior. I think it's interesting, right? There is a lot of research that says it doesn't actually cause violent behavior. But as far as an idea that parents are worried about, it's a very real worry, right?
Certainly.
Others not doing homework properly. I guess we've mentioned a similar thing there. Pradeep has a similar idea. What else have we got? For their eyes, Shurid says. These are all similar.
Yeah, and what about some of the positive aspects of computer games as well? So far, a lot of them have been about the negative aspects of computer games.
That's right.
There's certainly a lot of positives as well.
Here's one from Shanti. Helps to update with technological what, Shanti? Technological skills, maybe?
Yeah, so there's a great phrase that you can be tech savvy. Do you
Yeah,
ever use that phrase, Keith?
I do. Tech savvy is,
Mm.
yes, being very, well, a techie, understanding how to use technical things.
Yeah, and there's definitely a correlation between young children that play a lot of computer games and enjoy spending time on computers and then becoming tech savvy as they grow older. They can adapt to new platforms and new technology very quickly.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. So they can be, yeah, I mean, it's amazing the skills you can learn actually through video games. There's some amazing leadership skills. When I was playing World of Warcraft, and I played for about 6 months, um, we had to interact with other people, and people were building communities of hundreds of other fighters to work with them and to work together. And the kind of, as we mentioned earlier, the soft skills of leadership and team building were amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, we could put up things like team. You learn team building. Sometimes people talk about learning transferable skills. I get my spelling right.
Mm.
Like skills that you learn in a video game, you transfer to the workplace, for example. So maybe that's another one we could put in. Oh, thank goodness for autocorrect. Okay. I'm just looking through any others. Suri says, agree they get some useful information for their classes. I think that's true. I
So,
mean, if you've seen Minecraft, I don't know, have you ever played Minecraft, Eli?
no, but I've heard about it. I haven't actually played it myself.
Schools in the UK are using Minecraft left, right, and centre. I mean, there are whole teacher training programs on using Minecraft in schools and education,
Mm.
on teaching kids knowledge they need and skills they need in the classroom through Minecraft, which is a really fun, I think, a fun kind of building game. So yeah, it could
Cool.
be a good example.
And you see what you did there, Keith, was actually the kind of the perfect development for an idea. Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah. So and you know that's really when when teachers or online tutors talk about developing an idea, that's exactly it. Because that was an idea that I didn't, for example, immediately understand. I thought, how can it help in that way?
Mm,
And then you said, well, here's an example.
mm,
In the UK, people or
mm,
teachers take Minecraft, and then they, as a result, they use the lessons in Minecraft to build those transferable skills and to teach particular aspects. And so by using an example like that, you're really um, you're really developing that idea further, and that's going to help you get a much higher score in the IELTS writing test.
Do you think I get a band 9, Eli?
I think you would. I tell you
Fantastic.
what, though, I think it's worth putting to the test. I've often challenged a lot of IDP professionals
Mhm.
to write band 9 answers in
Mhm.
40 minutes, and
Wow.
it's pretty difficult.
Pretty hard.
Yeah,
Yep.
they
Yep.
often finish in time, but they always say at the end, "Wow, I had no idea doing the IELTS writing test was that difficult."
And I think that illustrates it's not just about language, it's about writing technique and exam skill as well as just knowing English. So you do really need to work on those exam skills like time management, like planning and so forth.
Mm.
Fantastic. I'm just going to move us forward. I've got an eye on the time as well, and I think we've got lots of ideas there. Um, so we've talked about developmental perspective, social aspects, some negative and positive things that could come up. Shall we move on to the next step?
Yeah. So, do you want to go straight on to the next step, or do you want to have the activity?
I think we take a break. Let's take a little activity break. Um, so, yes, we have been looking so far at 3 steps on how to write a high scoring essay. We're going to carry on with step 4 and step 5, but we're just going to cool the pace, relax a little bit, and want to play a very quick game with you and introduce you to a really interesting website. It's from the New York Times, if I remember correctly. They've got lots of interesting games to help you improve your English, and we're going to share one with you. As I just put it up on the website, let Eli kind of explain what it is.
Yeah. So today we're going to be playing Wordle. Now, Wordle is an exciting game where you have to guess a 5-letter word. And the way that you guess that 5-letter word is you write in other 5-letter words, and it tells you which of those letters appear in the word they've chosen, and it tells you whether you've got the order correct. And the fun thing about it is you only get one per day, but you do get one per day. So every day you get to go on and try a new Wordle. And for example, I really like challenging my girlfriend to see who can find the 5-letter word in less time and in fewer guesses. So Keith, maybe together we could see how we get on with today's Wordle.
Let's do it. So let's go into the Wordle today. We'll show you everybody the website so you can see it in my very unprofessional way. I'll just make it more visible. So this just shows you, as you can see here, it tells you that when it's a 5-letter word, and if we get the right letter in green, that means the word is in the correct spot. If it's kind of yellow, a bit like a traffic light, green is good, yellow is wait. It means it's the right letter, but it's in the wrong spot. And finally, in grey is basically it's not there at all. So we're going to try this, and maybe you guys can help us as we put in the letters and the words, and we try. You guys come up and give us some ideas. I'm looking at the comments. I'm sorry. Hey?
Yeah, if I may, Keith, as well, I'll start us off with the first word, because I've read that this is one of the best words to start with for Wordle.
Oh, really?
And that word is, yeah, because it's got a lot of vowels. This word, the word is raise, R-A-I-S-E.
Raise, fantastic. Let's have a look. I'm going to share a couple of comments with you. I thought they're quite interesting. One for you there, Eli.
You tell about changing girlfriend. No changing.
No changing. No.
Same girlfriend. Okay. Very long time.
Fantastic. Here are some interesting words. So Gaurav suggests early, which is similar to what you're saying. 3 vowels. He's focusing on the vowels as well. We've got a few others. We've got apple. We've got check. Check is not as good because you've got C twice, right? So with Wordle, you want trying to get as many different letters as you can. Stefano
apple has got 2 P.
Buongiorno. Nice to see you here. That's clear as another one. Great. Okay, so let's come back to the website. We're going to try the one you said, which was, what was it? Raise?
Yeah, although I quite liked clear. If we try, okay, yeah, let's go for raise.
Well, let's go for clear.
R-A-I-S-E.
No, I like the idea of doing one of the students' ones. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So if I can go back, I'm allowed to go back yet. C-L-E-A-R, moment of truth. Whoa, yes. So we've got a C and we've got the first letter.
Great.
That is a winner. Well done, Stefano, because the first letter is one of the hardest ones. We also know,
it looked to me like there's also an E, right?
Yeah, somewhere.
Although it's not in the right place.
So guys, start posting. Tell us what you think this word is. Begins with a C. We know it starts with a C. Okay. I think the E might be at the end. Clown could be. But there's no L. Artyom says chain. But there's no E. Ooh, this is an interesting one.
But we've already checked the AR for Stella.
That's true. Cradle. No, that's 6 letters. Too many letters.
I quite liked that chain. I thought that, yeah.
Somebody had
I thought
chain,
chain
yes.
was quite a good one because you get the CH a bit like,
Yeah.
which is quite common.
That is very common, isn't it? CH. But then it doesn't have the E. But listen, doesn't matter.
Right.
We'll get more letters. This might be a strategic approach, right? Fantastic.
Right, okay.
Look at that. We're almost there. So we know there's a C, there's an H, the ch sound, ch, and we know there's an E somewhere. So what else? What else? Come on, guys. We need you to help us. Remember, it's just 5 letters. Ooh, this one. Somebody had charm and it's just gone. Who wrote charm? Lydia. Oh, no, there's no A. Sam's, this is a good idea, but too many letters. This is a possibility, real boy. Oh, there's no E. Now, nonchalanja says cheap. That could be, except that E is in a different place. Rodiel says chart, but we know there's no R. Okay, let's try CH. We know there's an E. Okay, we've got chore. Somebody says chore. I think we try that.
That's a great idea.
Oh, there's no. I know there's no R, but I think we may get a step closer. Oh, look at that! My word, we're almost there. Absolutely brilliant. So let's go back. I'm going to take you off, Stefano. Let's go back. We're almost there, guys. What is the word? Oh, I think somebody got it. I just saw definitely what it could be. Viviane. Viviane says, if I can bring you up here, choose. Chose. That fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a great idea. That's most likely it.
Oh, there's one other possibility. Furiani. Choke.
Ah. Yeah.
Ah. Oh, dilemma. So I think it's either choke or choose.
Or chose.
Choke, choose. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be both. And we haven't tested the S and we haven't tested the K.
Yeah.
So I think it's 50-50 between those two, unless there's another word that we haven't thought of.
Whoops. Go back, Keith. Right, let's do it. How exciting. C, H, O. I'm going to go for the S. Do or die. Here's the moment. Sorry, Furiani. You'll probably be laughing at me in a moment. Oh,
no.
Oh no.
Furiani.
Oh, Furiani, you will be laughing at me. I told you so, Keith, you idiot.
Hopefully she will forgive us.
I think unless we've been caught out, I think it must be, because I can't see any other word, right? Here we go. Yes. Fantastic. Well done. And you can see we have to wait now 6 hours before I can do my next Wordle.
But good fun. You can share your results with other people and you can compete.
I've got lots of buttons to press. Go ahead, Eli. You're saying you can share your result, right?
You can share your results, and you can compete with your friends. And what was the vocabulary we used at the beginning of the lesson? Something about when you compete with your friends. Actually,
When you
what did
compete
we
with
say?
your friends.
Yeah. What did
To
we say? It was something like outdo you.
outdo your
Yes, you
friends.
can outdo your friends.
Yeah.
So
We
great.
Well done, fantastic, brilliant. So that was just a bit of fun to break up the class. We are here still talking about IELTS writing. We're showing you how to write a high scoring essay and have a bit of fun as well. So listen, Wordle, it's on the New York Times. Moderators, guys, if you could share the link to everybody, they can go in. You can do one every day. It's a great, nice little game to practice spelling, vocabulary. Notice those chunks, like we notice the ch, the ch, these common word chunks that can help you as well. Brilliant. But we're coming back to writing a high scoring essay. The essay we've been looking at is, let me just share this with you. I'll just go back a little bit. So bear with me. We have been looking at the 5 steps of effective essay writing. We've been looking at underlining the keywords, right, to identify the question type. We did that at the start. Step 2 was to identify the structure you're going to use. And we've talked about the 70-30 structure and how you could have 3 ideas, 2 on one side in favor and 1 on the other side against, if you like. We've developed the multi-perspective approach, step 3, generating ideas. And we're going to move on to step 4. Now, step 4 is basically following your essay structure. Eli.
Yes. So we're going to follow the 70-30 structure, and we're going to write our answer for this question today collaboratively. So we're going to start with the introduction. And we know that our introduction should do 2 things. It should introduce the topic and respond to the question. Okay, so that's what we do in the introduction. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail in a second. This is just an overall structure. Next, we're going to have body paragraph 1. And because we're using the 70-30 structure, let's start with an idea that explains the idea or the side that we don't fully agree with. So our 30% side. And then after that, we'll have body paragraph 2, which explains one idea for the side that you 70% agree with. And then body paragraph 3, which explains another idea for the side that you agree with. Now, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3 can be combined into one paragraph. So you can have one paragraph with 2 ideas as long as they're from the same perspective. So they're, for example, both agreeing with the question. In today's essay, we're going to be putting them in separate paragraphs. And that's because our second idea is going to be more of a consideration rather than an idea for why we think young parents should let young children play video games. And then last of all, we need to remember to write our conclusion. If you don't write a conclusion in your IELTS essay, you're going to get a much lower score. So make sure that you give yourself enough time to finish that essay before the 40 minutes is over. So in our conclusion, we summarize our ideas and we restate our position. So it's in some ways a reflection of the introduction. In the introduction, we introduce the topic and we respond to the question. In the conclusion, we summarize the ideas and then we restate our position. So first things first, let's move.
So I was just going to notice, so that idea, if you miss out the conclusion, this could again potentially take you down a whole band, right, on your score.
Yes. Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
It's so important. And that's, I think that lends itself very well to the importance of time management. So before your IELTS test, you need to be spending some time doing writing essays under timed conditions to make sure that you can finish your essays in time.
Yeah.
It's great if you've got good ideas and they're well developed. But if you've spent too much time developing those ideas or mentioning too many ideas and you haven't written your conclusion, you're going to get a much lower score. So make sure you finish with a conclusion.
Guys, make sure. Let's move on. Great.
So we were going to write an essay together, and we're going to start with the introduction. So Keith, maybe you could kind of lead this, and I could kind of chime in ever so often to talk about the functions of the different boxes.
Yes, I will. Okay. So where are we? Some parents do not allow their children to play video games as they worry that bum 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 bum. So what we might be putting here, as they worry that. Shall I give you an
if
idea?
We think back, yeah, well, if we think back to the ideas that we talked about, lots of people mentioned that they were worried that children would become addicted to playing computer games, and they would neglect other responsibilities like doing their homework or focusing on their studies or playing with other people. So to just to boil that down to its basic essence, I think that some parents do not allow their children to play video games as they worry that they will become addicted to those games.
Nice.
Okay.
Great. However, others believe that something on the opposite side. That, well, maybe others believe that they can learn transferable skills, maybe?
Yeah, certainly. Others believe that computer games or allow people to learn useful skills or useful cognitive skills.
To learn useful. I like that, cognitive skills. Great.
Great. We probably need however, others believe that computer games allow or enable children to learn useful cognitive skills.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
so this structure here, this is very useful for our introduction when we introduce the topics. So we have, because it's a debate between two sides, we can say some people, and then we have our verb phrase, and then however others believe, and then a separate verb phrase. So this is a very quick, useful introduction that we can use when we're introducing a debate between two sides, which is very common in IELTS essays.
Nice.
Now, the second thing we do is, in our introduction, is we need to respond to the question. So that's where we give our position, we give our opinion. And so that should come just below this introduction to the topic. So that's what we have here. We have, I would argue that parents should allow their young children to play computer games. Nevertheless, they must also consider. And so what do you think parents should consider when they're choosing whether or not to let children play computer games?
Me personally, I
Yeah,
think
you
me or the audience. Yes. Let's see if any ideas come through. Yes, Sindhu is thinking similar to me. I was thinking about having time limits, right? Something like that. What could we say here, Eli?
So I would argue that parents should allow their young children to play computer games. Nevertheless, they must also consider the amount of time that they play or that they spend playing those games. Great. So in this way, we've already shown the examiner that we understand the question, and we've given them an insight, so a hint as to the ideas that we're going to communicate in our essay. So that allows us very easily to move on to body paragraph 1. So when
Okay.
we talk about a body paragraph in IELTS, ideally we're looking for 3 things. We're looking for a topic sentence, we're looking for a development where we elaborate on our idea, and then we're looking for a link where we have any concluding remarks about our idea. So the topic sentence introduces the idea, the development gives details or an example about our idea, and then the link is a concluding statement about our idea. And if our paragraphs have these 3 points, we know that we're developing our ideas sufficiently for a high score in IELTS. So, Keith, maybe we can do this together. Our idea
Sure.
in this paragraph is that video games lead to addiction and isolation. Let's put our paragraph together.
Okay. So we've got the topic sentence. Many parents forbid their children from playing computer games because they are worried that excessive gameplay, nice word, excessive gameplay will. So I can think of something. I'm sure the guys can think of something. It will lead to addiction, I guess.
Exactly.
Will lead to addiction and possibly isolation. Let me put that in. Let's say potential to show off our language.
Great. So that sentence has made it very clear to the examiner what they're going to read about in this paragraph. So that's our topic sentence.
Right.
The next thing we do is we develop that idea, and you can see that in the second block.
Unfortunately, these beliefs are not unfounded, which means they're true, right? Or they could be true. Young children blank find it challenging to regulate the time spent playing video games. And many games blank be solitary, violent, and lead to long periods of inactivity. Okay. So young children. Go ahead.
And I'm going to give a little bit of a clue. So earlier on in this lesson, in this workshop, we talked about hedging our ideas, which is when we make less generalized statements. So, for example, if we weren't to hedge our ideas, we would say something like, young children always find it challenging to regulate the time spent playing video games. So if we want to hedge our ideas, we use the opposite of always. We can use something like often.
Could we use tend to?
Young children tend to. Yes, we can certainly use tend to as well. In fact, that might be a good idea for number 3.
Many games tend to be solitary, violent, and lead to long periods. Yeah. In which case, we don't want tend to twice, do we, really?
Yeah. So maybe we could use something like often.
Good. Young children often find it challenging to regulate the time spent. Regulate the time, that's a nice collocation. And many games tend to be solitary, violent, and lead to long periods of inactivity. Nice.
So what does inactivity mean? Because that's potentially a confusing one.
Without any movement, without any action, sitting on the couch, becoming a couch potato, as we mentioned last time.
Yeah, it's quite cool. I have a cousin who's addicted to playing computer games, and he's able to sit perfectly still for hours on end, and the only thing that's moving are his thumbs because he's controlling the controller of his video game.
Fantastic. I think young people today have got very strong thumbs.
That's true.
Great.
Okay.
Carry on. Have we got the link?
So now we have the link, the final part of our paragraph, to make sure that our idea is fully developed. So this can be especially troublesome when gameplay replaces more productive activities, such as. So what kind of activities can gameplay replace? Maybe we can take some ideas from the audience.
Yes, let's see. Any ideas, guys, for number 4? KDI says outdoor games. Or Eamon says outdoor activities.
Excellent.
Mary
These
says
are great ideas.
Hanging out with friends, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. I'm going to choose one of those. Such as I've just seen loads come up now. There's too many. Such as playing football, doing outdoor activities, shall I say? Doing outdoor activities. And look at the colour. Help.
I'd just like to remind everyone that there is a PDF for this lesson where we look through this essay. We look at a model essay and everything that we've talked about in this lesson. So there's definitely going to be a link to that, so everyone can learn as much as possible from this lesson today.
That's a very good point. And just to remind moderators, Paula and Apsara, if you could share the link to the PDF with everybody, even now, and then they can go ahead and go and download that. Just to remind everybody, we are doing IELTS writing today. This is a live lesson. We've been going a long time and we're not going to stop because we've still got a bit to go. So this may be quite a long lesson for us, for some of you. I appreciate that. Take your time, go to the toilet if you need, go and get a cup of water, come back. We're going to carry on finishing this writing. And do remember, this video will be recorded. You can go back later on YouTube or the Facebook page or the Facebook group, and you can watch it again and again to review this. And if you do that together with the PDF that you download, you've got the perfect package to write your high-scoring essay. Okay, let's move on. Let's come back with Eli. What's
right.
next?
So we've got a very nice body paragraph 1. Let's move on to body paragraph 2. So again, body paragraphs just have to follow this 3 simple steps, having a topic sentence, a development, and a link. And we're going to see that now in body paragraph 2. So our idea that we want to communicate is that young children learn skills from video games. So let's look at our topic sentence. However, there are also positive effects of video games for young children. Through playing such games, young children can develop something skills. So what kind of skills can young children develop from playing video games?
Got some answers coming in. Mary, computer. Simran. Nice. Manali, develop fine motor. I think you mean skills, not schools. I'm just going to help you that, but fine motor skills is a lovely collocation, yes.
Very nice.
Lee says speed. Syed, troubleshooting. Whoops, bring you back in. Nice.
So when we talk about skills, and especially if it's our topic sentence, often what we'll want to do is start quite broad, and then when we have our examples, that's when we become more specific. So in number 1, we might not want to say things like motor skills or leadership skills, because we might want to use those as an example. So instead, we could use something slightly more broad, like cognitive skills, or valuable skills, or useful skills. And that allows us to hone in afterwards on what skills exactly are learned from playing computer games.
How about, can I say useful soft skills? Is that okay?
Exactly.
Children can develop useful soft skills. Okay, carry on.
Great. And so now we're going to develop that idea. And again, one of the best ways to develop our ideas is with an example. So if we finished by talking about useful soft skills, well, let's give some examples of the skills that are developed from playing video games. So we say, for example, many video games require logical thinking. And then we've got number 2, so something that collocates with reactions. Okay, so something reactions and something solving skills. Okay, so again, what collocation do we have? Something solving skills. And then we continue to reach higher levels. Other games may require players to work something to complete tasks. So thinking about skills which we looked at the beginning of this lesson, what kind of words can we fit into space number 2, 3, and 4? Straight to the audience.
And they're coming straight back at you.
Yes.
So I guess if this is interesting, Simran. You've given us the adverbs, but I think actually what we need here is the adjective, right? So you'd probably be looking at immediate or quick for number 2, right? Great. We've got KDI, problem solving skills, Mutu as well, Simran as well. Farida, problem solving. And for number 4, to work, to complete tasks. Number 4, anybody? Yeah, everyone's got number 2 and 3. I'm going to fill in 2 and 3 as we're waiting for number 4, if that's okay.
Yeah, great idea.
So quick, I'm going to put quick. It could be quick or speedy, but I'll put in quick. And then number 3, we've got to be looking at problem solving skills to reach higher levels. Other games may require players to work. Okay, any idea? Francesco says with precision, together, effectively, with each other, intensively. Which one do you like?
These are all great ideas.
Great ideas, really good. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh, Mikhail, thank you. You've pointed out something up here. There is a small spelling mistake. It's extent. Well done, Mikhail. Thank you. Other games may require to work. Oops, what are you doing? To work together or to work effectively. To work together or to work effectively together, we could say. Maybe. Great. What's next?
So number 5. And so here we have a link. And we often use the word hence at the end when in our linking sentences, because we're just trying to emphasize that point further. So hence, video games can be an enjoyable and productive activity. And then we need a word that fits here. And there's a little clue for you, which is at the same time.
So you're looking for a synonym of at the same time. Wow. Our friends in Korea are on the ball. Look at that.
Great.
Very nice. Well done. Lots of you have got it. Let's put that in. I think that's probably, there may be others, but that looks like a pretty good one to me. Would you agree?
Yeah, great. Absolutely brilliant.
Nice. Okay, lovely. Thank you for those, guys.
Okay, let's move on to body paragraph 3. Now, you might want to, for example, if you just have 2 ideas, you might want to combine that into paragraph 2. However, in this paragraph, we're going to have a slightly different angle. We're going to, instead of having an idea to support the notion that parents should let their young children play video games, we're going to have a consideration. And our consideration is this: yes, parents should should allow their young children to play video games, but they should restrict the time spent playing those games. So we can see that's what we're communicating in our topic sentence at the beginning. We say, I would argue that parents should allow their young children to play video games, but restrict the time spent on those games. Okay, we move on to the development. In this way, their children can reap the cognitive benefits. So reap benefits means to get the advantages of something, so that you get all of the benefits. But so you reap the benefits, you get the benefits. So you reap the benefits of playing games, and then something, staying clear of addiction. So we need one word that fits into this space. Again, let's go straight to the audience to see if they can find a word that would work in this space.
For number 1, right?
Yeah.
Mary, on the ball.
On the ball.
Cho Yamin too, also on the ball. As is Domenico. Outstanding. You guys are absolutely outstanding. What about these? No.
In this way, to children can reach the cognitive benefits of playing games, but staying clear of addiction. Yes, while and but have a similar use in that they introduce the opposite idea. In writing, we tend to use while more frequently than but.
Okay.
So while we might use but quite regularly in our speaking, we would use while more regularly than but in our writing.
There you go. Amal Mo, there's your answer. So while will be a little bit better. Yeah, but is much more the speaking word, I think. While staying clear of addiction. Nice. And then
we have our link. So essentially limiting the time in which they spend on video games ensures, so ensures is a useful word that means to make sure. So ensures that they also partake in other activities, something as playing with friends and being outside. So we said that one of the best ways to develop our ideas is to have an example. So what word can we put into number 2 when we introduce an example?
Family Fest. Great name, great handle. Such. We've got somebody from Facebook says such. Beside, is that an option? Beside.
Not in this case.
No, beside as playing doesn't fit, right? Grammatically doesn't fit. Whereas, again, whereas as. Not quite.
Yeah, and whereas would be more similar to while in that we're introducing a contrasting idea. In this case, we want to introduce an example. So definitely such as is very, very appropriate here.
Yeah. Norberto's in there as well. So such, great, excellent. Let's put in such. such as playing with friends and being outside. Excellent. What's next?
So finally, we have the conclusion. So we mentioned it's very important to get to the conclusion. And a conclusion doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to do two things. It just has to summarize your ideas and restate your position. So even if you're coming to the end of the exam, you don't have much time and you're worried about the conclusion, don't worry, because you only need to do two things and you can write it quickly. Now, a good idea is to use or introduce our conclusions with the word or the words "in conclusion." So often I'll see people writing their essay and saying "in sum" or "to summarize," but we're not necessarily summarizing our ideas, or we're not summarizing our essay. We're showing a conclusion. So I would recommend that you start your conclusion with "in conclusion" or "to conclude." And I would also recommend staying away from memorized phrases like "in a nutshell." These aren't actually so appropriate for IELTS essays. So in your conclusion, start with "in conclusion" or "to conclude." So we have our conclusion here. In conclusion, something computer games can help young children develop useful skills. Excessive playing time can also lead to inactivity and antisocial behavior. So one word that will fit into this space, we might have seen it already.
This is interesting. Hi, Clemencia. Nice to see you here. Playing computer games. Of course that fits, but it doesn't fit the whole sentence, does it? We need a different kind of connecting word here. A few people have said playing. What about this one?
Certainly, that would definitely work. It wasn't the one that I had in mind, but it will certainly work here.
And Mohammed's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually having "in conclusion" and then "while," or "in conclusion" and then "although" is actually very common in our IELTS essays. And knowing that we're going to use that in the same way as our introduction will have something like "some people believe, others argue." Having these kind of structures help us to produce our conclusions more effectively in our IELTS writing test.
So we can use "while computer games." You said "although" is also fine. In conclusion, although then there's What about this one? Somebody shared this one. I think it was Kaminda. Even though.
Yeah, so even though it works in the same way as although.
Yeah. So all of those are absolutely fine. While, although, even though. I'm going to come back to while. So while computer games can help excessive playing time can lead to inactivity. Okay. And the next one.
And you quite rightly pointed out, Keith, these are connecting words. So words that we use to link sentences and ideas together. And your IELTS examiner will be looking out for these connecting words to see whether you can use them accurately. So words like while, even though, although. And we're also going to put a connecting word into number 2. So we have something. I would argue that parents should allow their young children to play video games, but control the type of game and time spent playing. So we need another connecting word that we can put here.
Well, here are some ideas you can comment on. Sorry, not that one. You've commented on that one. This one, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have "in my opinion" and "I would argue," which are kind of saying the same thing. So we might not necessarily choose "in my opinion" here, although it would certainly fit well.
So it's a bit too much repetition.
A bit too much repetition, but it's okay.
This one, all in all.
Hmm. Yep. All in
Just
all would also work.
mhm.
Um, Especially if we're looking at the sentence before, we might want a different linking word. So I would be thinking about something a bit like as a result or therefore.
Mark is
Yeah,
there. Right. As a
nice
result,
there.
therefore, great. So you could say all in all to sum up, but the kind of connecting to the previous sentence, therefore, is a bit stronger, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Stronger referencing. Therefore. Okay.
And again, that's something that my course looks at in a lot of detail is how do you use these linking words? How do you choose which one to use? How does the structure of the sentence change? And which ones are appropriate for IELTS essays? Because as you'll know from speaking, when we use a lot of natural connectors and cohesive devices in speaking, these kind of words are also very important for connecting our ideas in IELTS writing.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So there's a lot of overlap with speaking and writing. There's plenty of differences, but there is overlap as well. Um, Great. We've been through, we've written an essay. I mean, if we just go back, we have in effect, we've got here the whole essay. We've got the introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, 3, and the conclusion. And all of that is also in the PDF. As we've mentioned, there is a PDF you can get which summarizes the whole of this live lesson. I'll just remind the moderators again, Paula and Upsara, if you could just share that with the YouTube viewers and Facebook viewers, you can go and click on the link, go and download the PDF, and not only get the essay, but you'll get the whole process of how we've gone through this in this approach that Eli has used. And also, I mean, we haven't quite finished, but come back. We are, I mean, this is giving you lots of ideas. We're going to tell you a little bit more about Eli's course as well. He has a writing course for IELTS, which takes lots of these ideas and gives you much more detail. But we still have step number 5, I think, because we've done 4 steps in writing a high scoring essay. What is step number 5? Eli, what is step number 5?
Step number 5 is an often overlooked step, but very, very important, and that is to check your writing at the end. So give yourself at least 3 minutes, ideally 5 minutes at the end to look through task 1 and task 2. And maybe we could open up to the audience, when we check our writing, what kind of things do you think we should be looking for? So when we read our essay, as an example would be, we might want to look for spelling mistakes. And if we're consciously looking for spelling mistakes, we're more likely to be alerted when we see them. Maybe I could get some ideas from the audience over other things that we should do when we check our writing.
Yeah, guys, post as you're in the chat. How do we check? Proofread is a great synonym, actually. Yes, great. So ideas, spelling mistakes. Yeah, nice. Simram talks about grammar mistakes. Francesco calls them typos. Nice. Yeah. Even if you're writing with a pen and pencil like me, it can be a typo. Mumtaz, tenses. Good. Part of grammar, but absolutely check your tenses. Grammar and spelling. Romain. This was a good one, right? Punctuation. Clarity. A few people have mentioned clarity. It's a good one. And I like this, Mutu. First of all, we have to check for the appropriate finishing. Nice. I like it. Remember your conclusion. Have you done a conclusion? Yep. Check your true structure. The idea of subject-verb agreement. Yeah. Easy mistakes to make. Articles often left out, especially in some languages. Pradeep says check, check, and check. What's your list, Eli, to check?
Yeah, well, let's have a look. So I've got 7 things that I'd like to mention.
Wow.
And I think they were actually pretty much all covered. So spelling, certainly, number 1. Number 2, looking for grammar mistakes. And I love Deepika's ideas of checking for articles, especially. So articles are a, and, the, and also sometimes not putting an article. So if you know that's a mistake that you make regularly, then definitely check for that in your IELTS essay. And it's a very common mistake, actually. Number 3, checking for punctuation, very important. Have you got commas in the correct place? And often, have we remembered to write the commas? Again, that's something that my course covers in detail. We look at the different punctuation for IELTS essays, and we look at when we should use commas and when not to use commas, also colons and semicolons. Number 4, have you used linking words correctly? So we looked at the words like while, although, as a result, even though. These linking words are definitely something that the IELTS examiner is going to be looking out for to see, have you used a range of linking words and have you used those linking words accurately? So check to make sure that you use those linking words well. Number 5, have you used the best word to convey your idea? And number 6, are there any words that you repeat too often? So often, a lot of the time when I look over my essays, I'll realize that maybe I say things like many young children, and then 2 sentences later, I'll say many young children again. And that's the kind of thing that when I check through it, I can just quickly change the word many to something else, like the majority of young children. And just by changing the word from many to the majority of in the next sentence, you're showing a greater range of vocabulary, and that's going to help you get a higher score. And then finally, number 7 is just to do your best to make sure your handwriting looks neat if you're writing by hand. So cross your T's, dot your I's, and try and get your handwriting to look as nice as possible and presentable for the examiner.
Fantastic. Those are, excuse me, I'll take this off. Some very, very nice, a nice checklist, right? To check your writing for all of those different aspects. Again, that you can take a screenshot, but also if you download the PDF from today's live lesson, it's for free. You can get all of this all together in one nice place. It's been, Eli, it's been a mammoth session. I feel like I've been running a marathon like for almost 2 hours. How are you feeling?
It's been a real big one, but a lot of fun, great fun. I mean, what an achievement to be able to write an essay all together with so many kind of collaborative ideas and minds and getting the vocabulary together, as well as the fun activities in the middle. It's been a total blast.
Fantastic, great. We have hundreds of people together writing one IELTS writing essay. Brilliant. So we have today, we've been going through lots of different stuff. I'm just going to do a very quick summary for guys of what we've done today. Okay, we have been focusing on IELTS writing. We have shown you 5 steps to effective writing for IELTS. We've been through what the 5 steps are, and including things like identify the key words, identify the structure you're going to use. We talked about the 70-30 structure, 70% in favor of the things you agree with, 30% you maybe disagree with, depending on the question. And there are many, many different structures. Of course, today we just looked at one. We talked about ideas and how we can put those together. And we wrote a whole essay, which was quite impressive. And then we emphasized the checking when you go back and you check all the different things from grammar to prepositions to spelling, punctuation, and so forth. When we've had a bit of fun, we've played some games as well. We have to keep us on our toes. And the other thing to mention is also Eli has made an IELTS writing course, and we wanted to share this with you all. This will be launching on Wednesday this week on the Keith Speaking Academy. So on my website, hosted by Teachable, we will be launching this course that you will be able to get hold of and to purchase on that day. We'll tell you a little bit more about the course, but just to emphasize then, this week on Wednesday, we will be doing another live session. In fact, let me just share this with you if I can. What's the best way for me to share it? I'll do it here. I'll put Eli's face, but I'll show you. It's up here. So today, of course, you can go and download the PDF from today's lesson. Our next live lesson will be introducing and explaining the IELTS Writing online course. That's Eli's course. It'll be a question and an answer. It's on Wednesday. That's this week, 2nd of March. That's the day after tomorrow at 3 p.m. Spain time. So we'll be telling you all about the online course, how you can buy it, what you can do, answering all your questions about it. The live lesson is on YouTube or Facebook. That's my YouTube channel, where many of you are now. And on Facebook, on my Facebook pages. So just in case any of you don't know, you can watch this on my Facebook page at Keith Speaking Academy. You can join, if you haven't, join the Facebook group, the Keith Mastermind Community for IELTS Speaking, or on YouTube, which is my YouTube English Speaking Success. And then you can find out, or you can come on Wednesday and watch, right? So that'll be on Wednesday at 3 p.m. We'll be explaining about the course. The course will be hosted on my website. Some people have asked if it's in Udemy. No, it's not going to be on Udemy. It'll just be on the Keith Speaking Academy. Great. Eli, would you like to say, I mean, we're going to finish in a few minutes, but would you like to say a few words about the course?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about this course. And I'm very excited that on Wednesday, we'll be unraveling it and having students enroll in that course. And it's going to be for everyone that's preparing for IELTS writing. So it doesn't matter if you're doing the academic or the general IELTS test, we cover both. So we look at task 2 first, and then we move on to academic task 1 and general task 1. So you can skip to the section that's best for you. Let me just go to the right side this time. And the way it works is each lesson has a video where we go through the particular aspect of the lesson, whether it's the right linking words, the right structure, how to generate ideas, or even punctuation for IELTS for essay writing. And then below that, you have a PDF, so a downloadable resource that you can take and you can study at home, or when you're on the bus to work, or at night when you're in bed before you go to sleep. And then finally, you have a quiz below that, which really tests your understanding and hones in those skills to make sure that you can do your best in the IELTS writing test. So I'm really excited to be releasing that on Wednesday with some special discounts as well.
Fantastic. That's great. I was just bringing that in. I'm going haywire with all of my screens. Fantastic. Good. So listen, we'll be telling you more about that on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Spain time, next live lesson this week. Gosh, what a busy week. But it's been a blast. It's been absolutely great fun today. Thank you, all of you guys, for watching and staying with us. Really pleased. And thank you for all your comments. It's really encouraging for us. And Eli, thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And thank you to all the audience for participating. What a great fun lesson.
They're a good crowd. Okay, Great. So, guys, we're going to say thank you Thank you very much for everything. Just to let you know, then next class Wednesday. Do join us. In the meantime, have fun, take care, and stay safe. All the best. Bye bye. Great. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.